A dense fog materializes across the fields, engulfing entire farms and stretching its tendrils toward the city walls. You and your companions, some of the most courageous knights in Carcassonne, shudder when you make this realization. The mist is waking the souls of the Cathars, and they have one thing on their ghostly minds: justice. You must appease the restless spirits while navigating the eerie cemeteries, towering castles, and the ever-growing pools of mist. Only then can you truly bring peace back to Carcassonne.
Hey everybody, I'm Spencer with Game Nerdz, and in this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about Mists over Carcassonne from Z-Man Games and Hans im Glück to help you decide if it's worthy of being added to your game collection. I'll cover the game objective, turn summary, rules variants, target audience, and the estimated time commitment. Mists over Carcassonne is for 1 to 5 players and is the, quote, world's first cooperative version of Carcassonne. I don't know, SF Drew on Board Game Geek, who posted this cooperative variant in 2011, may disagree. There actually are no similarities. You will work, either by yourself or with up to 4 friends, to build out the city of Carcassonne and earn a certain number of points, while also preventing the spread of ghosts. You only win when you reach the point threshold, but you lose if you need to add ghosts and there are none left in the supply, or you run out of tiles before scoring the point goal total, which in your first game is 50. Mist over Carcassonne, you know what? I'm just gonna use the acronym MOC, or MOC. MOC will be, no, that sounds bad too. I'll just stick with Mist. Mist will be very familiar to anyone who has ever played any version of Carcassonne. The main action is simply drawing a tile and placing it down so that the edges match the type of edge on a tile that's already on the table. For example, roads should touch roads, fields to fields, and city to city. If the road or city you add to doesn't already have a meeple on it, you can add your meeple to score that element later. By the way, the OG Carcassonne, published in the year 2000, actually coined the term meeple as a combination of the phrase, my people. The longer the road or bigger the city, the more points your team gets on the board. Here's where the twist comes. Many of the 60 tiles included in this game have some variation of mist on them. Essentially, they're shaped like the cities, but these mists bring anywhere from 1 to 3 ghost meeples with them. Would those be geeples? Me geeples. Geeples, right? Geeples, okay. You have a very limited number of ghosts in your supply, 15 to begin with, but the starting tile requires you to place 3 right off the bat, actually leaving you with a supply of 12 to start with. And eventually, if you place a tile that requires 2 ghosts and you have 1 left in the supply, you're ghost toast. The good news is, if you add to an existing mist pool, you add 1 fewer ghosts than are depicted. In this example, you'd still be in the game because now you only need to add 1 ghost. You can remove ghosts in a few ways, the most common of which is done by fully enclosing an area of mist. Rather than scoring the mist, you just remove all the geeples in that area. I can't. Mist teaches you the full version of the game through a series of increasingly challenging rule sets from level 1 through level 6. Each level adds rules that introduce new concepts and turn up the difficulty dial significantly. For example, the first level completely leaves out the castle and cemetery tiles. Those are introduced in level 2, and the rules for cemeteries change throughout the rest of the levels. In level 3, we get the addition of Rufus and Rania, our trusty hounds who help chase away ghosts and earn extra points. Level 3 also significantly changes the progression of the gameplay. Previously, everyone drew from a single pile of tiles, but in level 3, 3 stacks of tiles are made, and 3-point goals are set on the scoreboard. The goals vary from level to level, but in 3, they are 15, 50, and 100. You'll draw from this first pile of tiles until you reach the first point goal, Rufus. If you run out of tiles before reaching the first goal, you lose. Same thing goes for the second goal, and of course, the final goal. This adjustment kind of forces you to change the way you play. You can't just devote all of your attention to the ghosts at first and worry about scoring points later. You have to manage it all simultaneously. This definitely makes the game more challenging, but in a way, kind of helps you focus on making steady progress rather than neglecting important elements. I won't get into all the differences in each of these 6 levels, but the important takeaway here is that you can play any of the levels whenever you want. If you think levels 2 through 6 are too hard, you can just play level 1. If you like playing the full game at level 6 but need to adjust the difficulty based on who you play with, you can do that easily. Now, if you're concerned about keeping up with the changes in each level, the rulebook has a handy summary printed on the back and a setup guide to help you out. Be aware that while the player count is from 1 to 5, there are some slight adjustments for solo and 2-player games. They aren't significant enough to warrant their own section in the rulebook. You'll just find callouts whenever the adjustments are needed. However you play, also keep in mind that the main challenge of this game is making the best of what you draw from a randomized stack of tiles. Sometimes you just get a bad tile or a series of bad tiles, and there's nothing you can do to prevent a loss. It's not unique to this game, but something I thought was worth mentioning. I'd like to move on to who will enjoy Mists over Carcassonne the most. If you're a Carcassonne player with several versions, this is probably a no-brainer for you. Not only does it allow you to play cooperatively, but Mists can also be used as an expansion for your other Carcassonne games. There's a whole separate rulebook explaining how to incorporate the components into a competitive environment. A standalone co-op game and an expansion in one? You don't see that very often. However, if you've never played Carcassonne before, that won't prevent you from enjoying Mists either. Many people I played this with enjoyed it and have never played Carcassonne. The way the series of levels ease players into the game is very helpful in introducing newcomers. Also, if you typically enjoy cooperative games, you'll probably enjoy Mists too. It's difficult to beat and easy to understand how to play. Plus, there aren't that many cooperative tile-laying games in this style out there, so this should be a relatively unique addition to most game collections. It does set itself up to be run by an alpha gamer though. It would be very easy for one player to take over and tell each person what to do on their turn, instead of letting everyone decide for themselves. It's good to talk about strategy with the team, as each tile placement decision does directly impact what the next player has to work with. There's even a way to achieve something called joint scoring, where if you set up correctly, you can score a single element multiple times. So if you do typically play with someone who just tends to take over, keep this in mind. And even if you don't enjoy cooperative games, you could still enjoy the challenge it offers as a solo game. You can play in a pretty relaxed environment since there's not too much going on. It's the type of game where you could easily hold a casual conversation while you play. Lastly, the suggested age range is 8 and up, but with a little guidance, kids age 6 and up should be fine. Also, there's nothing scary in here. I mean, the box art depicts joyful ghosts, even though there's supposed to be these vengeful spirits. Before I wrap this video up, I want to break down the estimated time investment for Mists over Carcassonne. You can expect to spend about 2.5 minutes setting up the game and about 2.5 minutes for a first-time rules explanation of level 1. Since each level introduces new elements, that time can vary. I recommend just explaining the basic rules, begin the game, and then talk about the changes associated with each tile as they are drawn. Turn length can vary anywhere between 15 seconds and 1.5 minutes, depending on how much strategy needs to be discussed and how many people are involved in those discussions. Games can actually be pretty short, especially if you aren't very good like me. You can find yourself losing in as little as 10 minutes or so, but a winning game is going to last anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. All in all, you can expect to spend no more than 30 to 45 minutes of your time to set up, teach, play, and put away Mists over Carcassonne. Mists over Carcassonne has a lot to offer for existing fans of the franchise. It also works well as an entry point to the series for newcomers. Because of its variable difficulty levels and short setup playtime, Mists is one of those games that makes you say, "Can we try this again? I know we can beat it," immediately after losing. If this sounds like a perfect match for you, you can find it over at GameNerdz.com. If you found this video helpful in making a purchasing decision, please give it a like. Also, feel free to leave me a comment if you have any questions about Mists over Carcassonne, or tell me the scariest ghost story you can in 2 sentences. Here's mine. Late at night, a flickering light emerged from the old abandoned house. As you peered through the window, a spectral figure turned to meet your gaze, its hollow eyes locking with yours, haunting you forever. Thanks, ChatGPT, and might I suggest subscribing to the channel for more tabletop gaming content. We've got other board game breakdowns and fun interviews. Once again, my name is Spencer, and I want to thank you so much for watching.